It's so interesting that you bring up fairy tales because the true versions of fairy tales are oftentimes much darker than we remember as kids. So, as we were looking at some of these photos, and I think we have a few more of them to take a look at now, they're very involved. The setups are crazy looking. How long does it take to set up a shot like this?
It takes me a while. It takes longer to find everything that I'll need, the set, the location, the special effects. Anything that I need to do along those lines takes maybe 2 or 3 weeks to get ready.
Now, the poor, unfortunate children who are terrified in these photos, these are your children, aren't they?
These are my children. I don't know if I could do it with anybody else. But my kids knew me. My kids trusted me. For them, it was like a big game of dress up. And so they were able to watch me make the monsters and sort of practice with them, as to what the photograph was going to be like. And so they usually had a really great time doing it. And I would use other family members as the monsters. So in the clown photograph, for instance, that's their grandma hiding behind the sheet. So I made sure that they were having fun, that they were pretending to be scared, and they just sort of really, really enjoyed the idea that they were in on the scare, and made it a lot of fun for them.
Do you think this actually might have helped sort of debunk this idea of sort of monsters under the bed, of things to be scared of, because they saw how these things are made?
Well, it is funny that they developed this sort of uncanny bravery because of the project. Everything that would normally frighten you as a child, and everyone goes through these same fears. I didn't deliver these fears to my kids. I was just sort of participating in them. But once they started to get involved with my work, anything that was scary became subject matter. They get very excited when they have a scary idea and come to me like, Dad, I just had the best idea. And the things that would normally frighten a child became more like a plaything to them.
The monsters under the bed one with the claws that come out is definitely, that was my fear as a little kid. And I used to tuck my arms and legs under the covers because if they weren't out, they couldn't get me.
We all had that fear.
Absolutely. Talk to me about the film. How are you going to transition this from these sort of static shots to moving picture?
Well, actually, the film project started at the same time I was working on the photographs. And I just sort of shelved the project because at the time I was trying to do everything. I didn't have enough special effects friends. I didn't have enough connections to do much more than photograph it. And so I used my same daughter, Chloe, who I've been using in the photographs, in the same locations, the same sets, a lot of the same props. And over the course of a few weekends, we photographed this inside my house. And the idea was to treat the exact same idea and build it up through maybe a 3-minute sequence where the final count of the monster is the punchline at the end. You learn that there are basically a finite number of fears, that there are certain universal fears that we're all born with. And a lot of people assume that those fears are idiosyncratic to just them. One of my most frequent comments is, how did you know I was afraid of that? And it's just a bold-faced truth that because I was afraid of the same thing, we all were. And so there's a certain shared humanity that you discover the deeper you look into what scares us all. And then just sort of learning how children come to grips with these types of fears and how those type of fears translate into more real-world adult fears was all very interesting to discover as I went through the project and would do my research and explore other avenues like Jungian psychology and neurobiology of fear and try to figure out how all this fused together into the art form that I love so much.